Hello everyone, I Assistant Professor Pragati Shetty from Department of Microbiology, KG Somaiya College. In this online lecture, we will continue the study of the antibiotic resistance. In the last online lecture, we have reached till the evolution of the antibiotic resistance and we have saw the SRES resistant strains called as the MRSA strains and the VRSA strains, which means methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus and the vancomycin resistant Staphylococcus aureus. So in that now we will look into the detail. First one, the MRSA, that is the methicillin resistant MRSA strains. These are the organisms that are not sensitive to common penicillin based drugs, okay, such as the methicillin, amoxicillin, penicillin and the oxacillin. So in this, what kind of the drugs will include the penicillin based drugs? Okay, so that will include the methicillin, penicillin, then amoxicillin and the oxacillin. Therefore, they are called as the methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus because they are no more susceptible to that strains. Then normal flora lives on the human skin, noses and the vaginal tract. We know we have the normal flora. The human will have the normal flora and that can present on the regions such as the skin, nose, vaginal tract, right? Then that can cause infection if entered inside the body, okay. Now these are the contagious organisms or the contagious pathogen, the MRSA strains, and that can spread via the person to person contact, okay. So now we know that which are the drugs that come into the category of the MRSA. All right, then the MRSA can cause infections if enters into the body, and they can enter into the body via direct person to person contact. And treatment drug or the antibiotic that we use to treat the MRSA are the vancomycin antibiotics, okay. Now we will see the VRE, that is the vancomycin resistant enterococci, okay. So now they will include the family of Enterococcus faecalis and Enterococcus faecium. All right, now the most important and most harmful and the dangerous point of the VRE, that is the vancomycin resistant drugs, can live onto the surface for up to 7 days. Usually the bacteria or the pathogens that come from the aerosols or that are exhaled out of the body from via the sneezing or any physical process, that remains for 48 hours at that surface, okay. This is the normal time period of the bacteria. They live up to 48 hours on the surface. But in this case, the VRE, that is the vancomycin resistant enterococci, that can live up to 7 days, and which is a very longer period. So if the person can come in contact easily, right, in the period of the 7 days, any person can come in their contact that place, so that may get that infection, okay. Again, there are another example, that is the Haemophilus influenzae, that can live up to the 2 days, okay. So this normal or the most of the bacteria, most of the pathogens has this shelf life for staying the 48 hours onto the surface, okay. Vancomycin resistant enterococci are the strains of the enterococci that are no more susceptible to the vancomycin antibiotics, okay. those are called as the vancomycin resistant enterococci strains. Now if we look into the ESBL, that is the plasmid mediated beta lactamase. Okay, so in that, now the ESBLs are the basically the extended spectrum beta lactamase, okay, strains, extended spectrum beta lactamase strains called as the ESBLs. These are the plasmid mediated beta lactamase, okay, mostly in the gram negative bacilli. Now for example of the strains ESBLs, the Klebsiella and the Acinetobacter. Now the mode of action is the hydrolysis of the beta lactam ring in the penicillin and the narrow spectrum cephalosporins. Now we know we have studied the beta lactam antibiotics in the last online lectures. Okay, so we know there are a group of antibiotic that has the beta lactam ring, which is responsible for showing that antibiotic property to that organism or the pathogen, and that can get destroyed or get inactivated by the enzyme activity called as the beta lactamase that will inhibit the beta lactam ring. Okay, for example of this antibiotic or this drug who have the beta lactam ring in that, such as the penicillin and the narrow spectrum cephalosporins. Okay, now what are the beta lactamase inhibitors? Okay, so this can be the clavulanic acid, then the sulbactam and the tazobactam. These are the beta lactamase inhibitors which can inhibit the ESBL producing strains. Okay, so as the name says, beta lactamase inhibitors, so they will inhibit the beta lactamase, and once the beta lactamase enzyme is inhibiting, then the beta lactam ring will be remain as it is. Okay, it will not get damaged, it will not get destroyed. So such antibiotics are also available, and that will include the clavulanic acid, then the sulbactam and the tazobactam. These are the molecule or these are the compounds which is beta lactamase inhibitor. So they are now used to treat the ESBL, that is the extended spectrum beta lactamase producing strains. Okay, now we saw the three types. First is the MRSA, then the VRE and the ESBL. Okay, MRSA stands for methicillin resistant Asorius, then the vancomycin resistant enterococci. Okay, now we know that when vancomycin resistant enterococci are the strains that will resistance this vancomycin enterococci strains. Okay, such as the enterococci faecalis and the enterococci faecium. Now this strain are present in the human urinary tract and the GI tract. Okay, that can present in the urinary tract and the GI tract, and these strains are very contagious. Okay, that can spread via the hospital acquired infections, okay, or from direct contact to contact, and these are most common or they are the most effective on the age groups such as on the elder patients or the elder persons and the children who are the immunocompromised children, so that those age groups are susceptible to this infection with the vancomycin resistant enterococci strains. Okay, then we know this can strain or that can stay on the surfaces lively for up to 7 days. And Haemophilus influenzae, it is another type of example, then that can stay up to the 2 days. See, the normal, usually average range of staying live on the surface of the for the pathogen is 48 hours. All right, then we saw the third group, that is the ESBL. What is ESBL? It is the extended spectrum beta lactamase strains. Okay, what they will do, they will inhibit or they will kill the beta lactam ring, and as they are removing the main unit or main functional product of the antibiotic, then the antibiotic will be of no use. If we remove the beta lactam ring from the beta lactam antibiotic, then they will be non-effective to the strains, right, to the pathogen. Then that will include the Klebsiella, Acinetobacter. This pathogen, this bacteria are able to inhibit the beta lactam, and this can come into the category of ESBL strains. Okay, against the ESBL we have the antibiotic called as the beta lactamase inhibitors, okay, which will inhibit the ESBL producing strains or the ESBL producing pathogens. Now such antibiotic groups are calvulonic acid, then sulbactam and the tazobactam. Okay, then now we will see what are the reasons or what are the mechanisms that are present in the bacteria, in the pathogen, that help them to produce this resistance against this antibiotic or the drugs. All right, now first, here are some names of that mechanisms. Okay, so we will see one by one. First, there is efflux pumps, which means they pump the antibiotic out of themselves. They don't let enter the antibiotic solution into themselves. Second is the alterations in the bacterial target. They will modify the target of the bacteria in such a way that the antibiotic will not able to recognize the target, okay, because now the structure of the target has been modified, has been changed. So now antibiotic will not able to recognize, and therefore it will be non-effective. Third, enzyme inactivation. Now bacteria can produce certain types of enzyme that will inactivate these antibiotics, such as the example just now we saw, the beta lactam, right? So the bacteria can have beta lactamase in it, so that will inhibit the beta lactam antibiotics, right? The fourth mechanism is the decreased uptake. It will reduce the uptake of that antibiotic. Okay, and the fifth one is the alternative enzymes. They will develop certain alternative enzymes which are structurally similar to the target of them, to the bacterial target, so that the antibiotic get fooled with that fake target. Okay, these are very interesting mechanisms produced or developed from the bacteria in order to protect themselves from the antibiotic. All right, now we will see this each in the detail. Now you can see this picture. First one, we will see the efflux pump mechanisms. All right, so what is happening here? Now you can see there is a efflux pump in the blue color box. Okay, they will pump the antibiotic out from the bacterial cell, and these pumps, bacteria can produce these pumps that will sit in their membrane or the cell wall, right? That is present in the cell wall, right? Cell wall. And these so-called efflux pumps are majorly present in most of the bacteria, all right, and this are basically has the function for transporting or the transportation of the nutrients and the compounds, signal molecules. Now they can use these pumps to remove or to pump the antibiotic out of themselves also. Okay, and in this way they lower down the antibiotic effect, right, inside the bacteria, inside themselves. And in some cases, mutations in the bacterial DNA can make the bacteria produce more of certain pumps, which means in some of the cases in the bacteria got mutated, and that mutation causes the bacteria to produce these pumps in the very larger amount. And if the pumps are present in a higher amount, then what will result? That result into the complete removal of that antibiotic from themselves. They will pump whole concentration of the antibiotic out of themselves, all right, and therefore which in turn will increase the resistance against that antibiotic, right. This is the first mechanism called as the efflux pump mechanism. Okay, second mechanism we will see is the alterations in the bacterial targets. Okay, so you can see in the diagram on the right hand side the target alterations. Okay, at the bottom of the right hand side, target alterations. Now the changes in the structure of the bacterial target in the bacteria can occur, or the composition of the bacterial target, they can change that. The bacteria is so smart that it will change the target structure, or it will change the composition of that target, so that the antibiotic will not able to recognize that target, and therefore it will stop the antibiotic from interacting with that target. Okay, this can be done by bacteria also with the help of the addition of some extra molecules, chemical groups on that target structure, so that that structure or that target will get protected, right. It will get shed from that due to that chemical groups. It will develop a layer of that chemical compounds on that target, so that the antibiotic is not able to locate or able to sense that target. So we can say the bacteria are very very smart to produce such protecting mechanisms for themselves in order to get resistant against that bacteria, right. So this is the target alteration mechanism. Now third mechanism that we will study is the enzyme inactivation. Okay, now in that you can see there are in the diagram the inactivating the enzyme. As I mentioned, what it will do, it will produce certain enzymes that will inactivate the antibiotics, that are called as the inactivating enzymes. Okay, now in the previous slide we saw the beta lactam inhibitors, right, the ESBL, that is the extended spectrum beta lactamase strains. So what are they doing? They are basically producing enzymes which are responsible for inhibiting the activity of beta lactam, therefore enzyme called as the beta lactamase, right. This is the very good example of this inactivating enzyme mechanism. Okay, now this enzyme will destroy the antibiotic by inactivating them. Okay, and once the antibiotic got inactivated, then it will no more of use, right. The bacteria, what they do, they produce certain types of the enzymes, and that enzymes, they will remove that functional group of that antibiotic. So if we remove the main part of certain thing, then that thing will be of no use. So similar way, the antibiotic will be a non-effective on that bacteria or the pathogen. Example is the beta lactamase strains. Okay, so this is the third mechanism called as the enzyme inactivating enzymes. Now fourth mechanism we will see, that is the decreased uptake. Okay, now you can see in the right hand side topmost, there is the decreased uptake. Antibiotics are trying to enter into the cell, but the cell is not allowing antibiotic to enter, right? They will decrease the uptake of the antibiotic. How they will do this? They will decrease the permeability of their membrane that surround the bacterial cell. Now we know that the cell membrane is a crucial part of the structure of the bacteria, and the role of the cell membrane is to transport the essential nutrients and the chemicals, the salts, the minerals inside and outside of the bacteria. Okay, so it is a semi-permeable membrane of the bacteria. Now the bacteria will decrease the permeability of that membrane, so that very less amount of the chemicals or the products will can transfer from that membrane, and therefore in such a way they will decrease the uptake of that antibiotic also, right? And if the uptake got decreased, if the very less amount of the antibiotic got entered, that can be non-effective on the bacteria. So it is another way for developing resistance or preventing the activity of that antibiotic against that on that bacteria itself, right? That makes them difficult, that make the antibiotic difficult to enter, to pass through that membrane. Why? Because now the bacteria got decreased permeability for its membrane, and therefore now the antibiotic is getting difficulties to pass through that membrane. Therefore very less amount of the antibiotic will reach to the bacteria, and resulting into the non-effectiveness of the antibiotic onto that strain. All right, this is the fourth mechanism. Now fifth mechanism is the alternative enzymes. Okay, now you can see in the picture the alternative enzymes, okay, or the alternative proteins. Proteins are the enzymes, right? Then there are the bacteria who are able to produce some alternative proteins or enzymes that can be used instead of the previous proteins. Okay, now for example, just now we studied bacteria Ascaris. Okay, now how the Ascaris is getting resistant to so many antibiotics? Because they will produce new proteins. It has the ability to develop such new proteins which are very new to antibiotic, right? Because antibiotic is same only. The strain is getting resistant. The strain is changing itself, right? Therefore the Ascaris can acquire the resistance gene MECA. It is the name of that gene. Okay, MECA, and produce a new penicillin binding protein. Okay, now this proteins has a very low affinity to bind to the antibiotics. The previous proteins that were present in the Ascaris has the very good affinity for binding to the antibiotic, right? Now the new penicillin binding proteins which was developed from the Ascaris, now the affinity is very low, and as the binding affinity is very low, then the reaction will not take place further, right? And therefore that result into the resistance against that antibiotic from the bacteria, right? So this is the one mode of the producing antibiotic resistance, right, which we called the alternative enzyme production mechanism. What is happening here? The bacteria will produce the new proteins, okay, which are not similar like previous proteins. See, the previous proteins, the researchers or the scientists study the whole structure, whole genetic map of the bacteria to produce a single antibiotic, right? And therefore they will study the proteins which has the highest affinity for binding with our produced antibiotic. But now the bacteria has developed certain new proteins which are new to us, okay, then that proteins has very low affinity for binding to the antibiotic, and therefore the binding will not take place, right? You can see in the picture the alternative enzyme will inhibit the binding of the enzyme and the antibiotics. That will result into the inactivation of the antibiotic, right? Therefore the pathogen will not get killed, the bacteria will remain viable. So this is the ways, or these are the mechanisms that are present in the bacteria that can used by the bacteria or the pathogens to produce the resistance against the specific antibiotics, okay. These are the 5 main reasons, or these are the 5 main mechanisms used by the bacteria or the pathogens to develop the antibiotic resistance, right? Now the very recent example is the COVID, okay. Now we know in the previous recent days the new strain of the COVID has been discovered, right? Why? Because there is a mutation in its genetic structure in the previous coronavirus that has got changed to the new strain of the COVID. It got changed because it got mutated with the certain genetic changes, right? And therefore now the previous medications, the previous treatment, previous drugs which were very much effective against the strain are not now that much effective on this new COVID strains, right? So it is the very recent example of this antibiotic resistance. I hope you understood this online lecture. In this online lecture we have studied the 5 main mechanisms, and we also saw the 3 types, the MRSA, VSR and the ESBL strains, right? And the 5 mechanisms. I hope you understood this online lecture. If you have any doubt regarding this, please ask in the comment section. Thank you for watching.